The great council chamber of the Andromeda Alliance buzzed with hundreds of different voices. Representatives from 47 alien species sat in their assigned sections, each group distinct in size, color, and form. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few seemed made of living crystal. Dr. Kale adjusted his translator device and looked around the massive hall. As a Velton, he stood nearly 8 feet tall with blue-gray skin and large black eyes. His species was known for their love of knowledge and their peaceful nature. Today, like every month, the council met to discuss trade routes, territory disputes, and scientific discoveries. The Krullian representative, a red-skinned warrior named Voss, stood at the central podium. His voice boomed through the chamber as he spoke about mining rights in the outer systems. The Krullians were always talking about expansion and conquest. They made Kale nervous. But today was different. As the formal meetings ended and representatives began to mingle, the conversations turned to something unusual. Old stories, ancient tales, legends that most species shared but never took seriously. "My grandfather used to tell stories about the ghost warriors," said Nira, a small green-skinned trader from the Zephyr Coalition. She was speaking to a group gathered near the refreshment area. "He said they came from beyond the known galaxy, fought like demons, and disappeared into space." "We have similar tales," agreed Jorik, a massive bear-like creature from the northern systems. "The old ones called them the Fire People because they brought destruction wherever they went. But these are just stories to scare children." Kale moved closer to listen. As a Zen archaeologist, he studied ancient cultures and their myths. These particular stories had always fascinated him because they appeared in the folklore of almost every known species, even those that had never met each other. "What did your people call them?" Kale asked the group. "The walking nightmares," Nira replied with a shiver. "Sky demons," said Jorik. Vos, the Krullian, had been listening from nearby. His scarred face showed disgust. "My people called them humans, and they were no myth." The group fell silent. Everyone knew that Krullians kept detailed military records, going back thousands of years. If they had a name for these legendary beings, maybe the stories held more truth than anyone wanted to believe. "Tell us what your records say," Kale urged. Voss looked around, making sure no other Krullians were listening. 300 years ago, our forces encountered them in the Outer Rim. A small group, maybe 50 individuals. They had strange ships and weapons we had never seen. Our commanders thought they would be easy to defeat." "What happened?" asked Nira, her large eyes wide with curiosity. "They killed 3,000 Krullian warriors before we finally overwhelmed them, but that was not the strangest part. When cornered, instead of surrendering like any reasonable being would do, they fought until every last one was dead. They preferred death to capture." The group exchanged nervous glances. The Krullians were the most feared military force in known space. The idea that any species could inflict such losses on them seemed impossible. "Where did they come from?" Kale asked. "The survivors spoke of a world called Earth, somewhere beyond the galactic rim. But our scouts never found any trace of their home system. After that battle, they vanished completely. Most of our people decided they had made the whole thing up to explain their heavy losses." Dr. Kale spent the rest of the gathering asking similar questions to representatives from other species. The stories were remarkably consistent. A mysterious race of warriors from beyond known space. Incredible fighting ability, strange technology. And always, they fought to the death rather than surrender. Some called them spirits. Others called them demons. But a few, like the Krullians, had a name, humans. 2 weeks later, Kale stood on the bridge of his research vessel, the Deep Explorer. His small crew was finishing their survey of a dead system on the far edge of known space. They had been looking for ancient ruins that might shed light on early galactic civilization. Dr. Kale called his assistant Tom, a young Velton fresh. From the Academy. We found something strange on the fourth planet. The energy readings don't match anything in our databases. Kale hurried to the sensor station. The planet below was a barren wasteland, its atmosphere long since boiled away by solar radiation. But the scans showed clear signs of artificial structures, buried beneath centuries of dust. "Take us down," Kale ordered. The landing team consisted of Kale, Tom, and 2 security officers. They wore environmental suits as they explored the ruins of what had once been a small settlement. The architecture was definitely not from any known species. The buildings were too small for most aliens, but too large for the tiny Zephyr people. "Look at this," Tom called from inside what appeared to be a storage facility. Kale hurried over and gasped. Scattered across the floor were weapons unlike anything he had ever seen. They were clearly designed for beings with 2 arms and hands with 5 fingers. The metal was strange too, some alloy that their scanners could not identify, but it was. The wall that made Kale's heart race. Someone had carved symbols into the metal, symbols that looked almost like writing. And at the center, carved deeper than the rest, was a single word in letters that seemed somehow familiar. "Earth," Kale read aloud. Though he had no idea how he knew the pronunciation, they spent 3 days cataloging everything they found. Weapons, tools, personal items, and most disturbing of all, clear evidence of a massive battle. Blast marks. On the walls, melted metal, and what looked like Krullian body armor scattered throughout the ruins. The final piece of evidence came from Tom's deep scans. Beneath the main settlement, he found a mass grave containing the remains of nearly 200 Krullian soldiers. But there were no human bodies anywhere. On the journey back to Velton Prime, Kale sat in his quarters staring at the artifacts. They had collected. The implications were staggering. The humans were real. They had been here in this galaxy, within recorded history. And somehow, a small group of them had killed 200 Krullian warriors before disappearing without a trace. He activated his communication system and began composing a message to the Andromeda Council. This discovery would change everything. The myths were true. The legends were real. But as he wrote, one question haunted him above all others. If humans had been here before, where were they now? And more importantly, were they coming back? The Deep Explorer continued its course toward home, carrying evidence that would shake the foundations of everything the galactic community thought they knew about the universe and their place in it. Far beyond the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy, in a cold system that appeared empty on all star charts, something massive stirred in the darkness. The UES Titan, flagship of Earth's largest colonial expedition, slowly emerged from 3 centuries of sleep. Admiral Stone opened his eyes for the first time in 300 years. The cryogenic chamber hissed as it released its locks, and warm air flooded his lungs. His body felt stiff and cold, but his mind was sharp. Around him, thousands of other chambers were opening as the ship's crew awakened from their long journey. "Status report," Stone said into his communication device as he stepped out of the chamber. "All systems green, Admiral," came the reply from Commander Blake, his second in command. "We have arrived at the target coordinates. Long-range sensors are already scanning the local systems." Stone walked through the corridors of the Titan, noting how everything had been perfectly preserved during the journey. The ship was over 30 miles long and carried nearly 2 million colonists and military personnel. But it was just one ship in a fleet of 50,000 vessels, the largest human force ever assembled. The bridge of the Titan was a marvel of human engineering. Dozens of officers worked at their stations, coordinating with the other ships in the fleet. Through the main viewing screen, Stone could see hundreds of other vessels stretching out in all directions. Transport ships carrying families and civilians, cargo vessels filled with equipment and supplies, and escort ships bristling with weapons to protect them all. "Sir," called Lieutenant Davis from the sensor station, "you need to see this." Stone approached the young officer's workstation. Davis had been born on Mars, part of the generation that had never seen Earth's blue skies. Like all of them, he had volunteered for this one-way journey to establish humanity's first colony outside their home galaxy. "What do you have, Lieutenant?" "Multiple energy signatures throughout the local system, sir. This galaxy is not empty. We are reading cities, space stations, and what appears to be active shipping routes." Stone studied the data. The plan had been simple: find empty systems, establish colonies, and begin the long process of terraforming suitable worlds. They had never considered that they might encounter other intelligent life. "Are we talking about one species or multiple?" "Multiple, sir. At least a dozen different energy signatures. Some of the technology appears quite advanced." Commander Blake joined them at the sensor station. She was a veteran of the Mars colonial wars, tough and experienced. "Admiral, we have a choice to make. Do we proceed with the original plan and try to avoid contact, or do we announce our presence?" Stone considered the options. They had traveled 300 years to reach this galaxy. Turning back was not possible with their current fuel reserves, but making contact with unknown aliens could be dangerous. "Patch me through to Captain Reed on the Defiance," Stone ordered. Captain Reed commanded the scout ship Defiance, one of the fastest vessels in the fleet. His ship was designed for reconnaissance and could operate independently for months. Reed himself was a former Special Forces officer who had volunteered for the most dangerous missions. Reed's face appeared on the communication screen. He was a tall man with graying hair and scars on his face from old battles. Behind him, Stone could see the compact bridge of the scout ship. "Captain, I need you to take your ship and conduct a careful survey of the nearest inhabited systems. Do not make contact. Just observe and report back." "Understood, Admiral. How deep do you want us to go?" "Deep enough to understand what we are dealing with. If these aliens are peaceful traders, we might be able to coexist. If they are hostile warriors, we need to know before they discover our main fleet." Reed nodded. "We will depart within the hour." The Defiance separated from the main fleet and activated its stealth systems. Human technology had advanced significantly during their long journey through space. The ship could mask its energy signature and move undetected through most sensor networks. For 2 weeks, Reed and his crew observed alien civilization from a distance. What they found was both encouraging and troubling. The galaxy was home to dozens of different species, most of whom seemed to live in peace with each other. They had advanced technology, faster-than-light communication, and a complex network of trade routes. But Reed also discovered something else. In the archives of several alien systems, he found references to humans, old records dating back centuries, that described violent encounters with human forces. The aliens remembered humanity, and the memories were not pleasant. "Admiral," Reed reported during his daily communication with the fleet, "these aliens have detailed records of human contact. According to their histories, humans appeared in this galaxy approximately 300 years ago, engaged in several battles, and then vanished." Stone felt a chill run down his spine. 300 years ago would have been shortly before their own fleet departed from Earth. Had other human expeditions reached this galaxy first? "What kind of battles, Captain?" "The records are incomplete, but it appears small groups of humans fought against local forces. The aliens describe humans as exceptionally dangerous warriors who refuse to surrender even when outnumbered. After a few years of sporadic contact, humans disappeared completely. Any indication of what happened to those earlier humans?" "None, sir. They simply stopped appearing. The aliens eventually decided they had been dealing with raiders or explorers, who returned to wherever they came from." Stone realized they were facing a complex situation. The aliens knew about humans, but thought they were gone forever. The arrival of Earth's massive colonial fleet would come as a shock to everyone in the galaxy. "Captain, what is your assessment of alien military capabilities?" Reed paused before answering. "Their technology is advanced, but their ships appear to be designed for trade and exploration rather than warfare. Most species seem to have small defensive forces only. However, there is one exception." "Go on." "A species called the Krullians. They maintain large fleets and seem to be the primary military power in this region. Their ships are heavily armed, and their crews are experienced fighters. If we face opposition, it will likely come from them." Stone studied the tactical displays, showing alien ship movements throughout the galaxy. The situation was becoming more complicated by the day, but they had come too far to turn back now. "Captain Reed, continue your surveillance. Focus on the Krullians and their capabilities. We need to understand exactly what we might be facing." "Yes, sir." "But Admiral, there is something else you should know." "What is it?" "The aliens have a collective government called the Andromeda Council. They meet regularly to discuss issues that affect all species. If word of our presence reaches them, we might find ourselves facing a united response." Stone closed the communication. Lincoln turned to Commander Blake. "What do you think?" "I think we are about to discover whether human diplomatic skills have improved over the past 300 years, she replied. "Because one way or another, we are going to have to deal with these aliens, and they already have reason to fear us." War Leader Thane stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Blood Spear, staring at the tactical display with growing anger. As the commander of the Krullian Fourth Fleet, he had spent his entire life preparing for war. Unlike other species in the galaxy, the Krullians never forgot their enemies. "Sir," reported his sensor officer, a young warrior named Grick, "we have detected unusual energy signatures in Sector 7. The patterns do not match any known ship designs." Thane's scarred face twisted into a grim smile. For weeks, Krullian scouts had been reporting strange readings near the galactic rim. Other species dismissed these reports as equipment failures or natural phenomena. But Thane knew better. His grandfather had fought in the ancient wars and told him stories that still gave him nightmares. "Show me the data," Thane commanded. Main screen displayed energy patterns unlike anything in their databases. The signatures were faint but distinctive. Whoever was out there was using technology that the Krullians had not seen for 300 years. "Humans," Thun whispered, and the word sent a chill through the bridge crew. Every Krullian warrior knew the stories. The ancient enemy that had appeared from beyond the stars and fought with impossible fury. Small groups of humans had killed thousands of Krullian soldiers before vanishing into space. Most aliens thought the stories were myths, but the Krullians kept detailed records. They knew humans were real, and they had been waiting for their return. "Deploy the scout ships," Thane ordered. "I want to know exactly what we are dealing with. And send a message to High Command. Tell them the ancient enemy has returned." Captain Reed sat in the pilot seat of the Defiance, watching the sensor readings with concern. For 3 weeks, his scout ship had been moving carefully through alien space, gathering information about the various species and their capabilities. So far, they had avoided detection by staying far from trade routes and populated systems. "Captain," called his communications officer, Lisa Park, "we are receiving multiple transmissions on Krullian military frequencies. They appear to be coordinating search patterns." Reed frowned. "Are they looking for us?" "It seems likely, sir. The search grid covers the entire Outer Rim region where we have been operating." Reed made a quick decision. "Set course for the nearest uninhabited system. We need to lie low until this search passes." But it was too late. The Defiance had been detected by a Krullian patrol ship hiding behind a small moon. The alien vessel immediately powered up its weapons and moved to intercept. Red alert, Reed announced as alarms began sounding throughout the ship. All hands to battle stations. The crew of the Defiance consisted of only 30 people, but they were all veterans of human space conflicts. They had trained for this moment during the long journey to Andromeda. Each person knew their job and performed it without hesitation. Enemy ship approaching fast, reported the tactical officer Mike Torres. Kryllian design, heavily armed. They are powering weapons and shields. Reed studied the tactical display. The Kryllian ship was larger than the Defiance and probably had more firepower. But human ships were built for different purposes. Where alien vessels prioritized comfort and efficiency, human warships focused on survival and combat effectiveness. Open a communication channel, Reed ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the Kryllian ship. War leader Thane glared at them with obvious hatred. His red skin was marked with ritual scars, and his black eyes burned with fury. "I am War leader Thane of the Kryllian Empire," the alien announced. "You will surrender your vessel immediately and prepare to be boarded." Reed stood up and faced the screen. "I am Captain Reed of the United Earthship Defiance. We are conducting peaceful exploration in neutral space. We have no quarrel with your people." Thane laughed, a harsh sound that made several crew members shiver. "Peaceful? Your kind knows nothing of peace. You are the humans my grandfather told me about, the destroyers, the monsters that kill for pleasure." "You are mistaken," Reed replied calmly. "We seek only to establish colonies and uninhabited systems. We have no hostile intentions." "Lies," Thane roared. "My people have waited 3 centuries for your return. We will not make the same mistakes our ancestors made. This time we will destroy you completely before you can multiply." The transmission ended as the Kryllian ship opened fire. Bright energy beams lanced through space, striking the Defiance's shields. The human ship shuddered under the impact, but the shields held. "Return fire," Reed commanded. The Defiance's weapons were smaller than those on the Kryllian ship, but they were more advanced. Human plasma cannons could penetrate most alien shields with concentrated fire. The first salvo struck the enemy vessel amidships, causing significant damage. Thane was shocked by the effectiveness of human weapons. His ship's shields had been rated to stop anything in the Kryllian arsenal, but the human beams cut through them like paper. "All weapons, fire at will," Thane ordered. "Destroy that ship before it can escape." The battle became a deadly dance, as both ships maneuvered for advantage. The Kryllian vessel had superior firepower, but the Defiance was faster and more agile. Reed used every trick he had learned during his military career, spinning and diving to avoid the worst of the enemy fire. "Shields down to 30%, Torres reported. "We cannot take much more of this." Reed realized they were outgunned. The Kryllian ship could absorb more damage than they could dish out, but he had one advantage that the aliens did not expect. Human ships were designed to fight even when badly damaged. "Prepare to ram," Reed announced. The crew looked at him in shock. Ramming was a last resort tactic that usually meant death for everyone involved. But Reed had studied the alien ship designs during their reconnaissance mission. Kryllian vessels had a critical weakness near their engine section. "Captain," Lisa said quietly, "there might be another way. What do you have in mind?" "I have been monitoring their communications. They are calling for reinforcements. But if we can disable their engines, they cannot follow us when we retreat." Reed nodded. It was still dangerous, but it gave them a chance to survive. "Target their engine compartment. All remaining power to weapons." The Defiance turned toward the Kryllian ship, ignoring the heavy fire that battered their hull. When they reached optimal range, Reed gave the order to fire everything they had. The concentrated attack struck the enemy ship's engine section and caused a massive explosion. The Kryllian vessel lost power and began drifting helplessly in space. "Thane, watched in disbelief as the human ship prepared to escape. His own vessel was crippled, his crew was injured, and reinforcements were still hours away. But what shocked him most was that the humans had not tried to destroy his ship completely. They had only disabled it. "Why do they not finish us?" asked his second-in-command. Thane had no answer. According to everything he had been taught, humans were merciless killers who showed no mercy to their enemies. But this human captain had chosen to spare their lives. "Signal the fleet," Thane ordered. "Tell them we have confirmed the presence of human forces. And tell them these humans are different from the ones in our historical records." The Defiance limped away from the battle zone, its hull scarred, but its crew alive. Reed knew that word of the encounter would spread quickly through alien space. Their presence in the galaxy was no longer a secret. "Set course for the fleet," Reed commanded. "Admiral Stone needs to know what we are facing." As they traveled toward the rendezvous point, the crew of the Defiance reflected on what had just happened. They had fought the first battle between humans and aliens in over 3 centuries. And despite being outnumbered and outgunned, they had survived. But Reed knew this was only the beginning. The aliens now knew that humans had returned to Andromeda. And if the Krullians were any indication, not all of them would be happy about it. The emergency session of the Andromeda Council was the largest gathering in galactic history. Representatives from every known species filled the Great Hall, their voices creating a chaotic mix of languages and sounds. Fear hung in the air like a thick fog. Dr. Kale stood at the main podium, holding the human artifacts his team had discovered. Beside him, holographic displays showed the battle damage from War Leader Thane's encounter with the human scout ship. The evidence was undeniable. The mythical humans had returned. "The scientific analysis is complete," Kale announced to the nervous crowd. "These weapons and tools are genuine human artifacts, approximately 300 years old. The metal composition matches no known alloy in our databases." Council Speaker Aram, an elderly Velton who had led the council for 50 years, raised his hand for silence. "Dr. Kale, what is your professional assessment of the threat level?" Kale hesitated. As a scientist, he wanted to believe that peaceful contact was possible, but the historical records painted a grim picture. Based on past encounters, humans appear to be an extremely aggressive species. They fight with a ferocity that our military experts find difficult to understand. War Leader Thane stepped forward from the Krullian delegation. His arm was in a medical brace from the recent battle, but his voice was strong. "I have faced them personally. A single human ship disabled my flagship and escaped despite being outnumbered and outgunned. Their technology is beyond anything we have encountered." Murmurs of fear rippled through the assembly. If the mighty Krullians were concerned, then the situation was truly serious. "What do they want?" asked Ambassador Nira from the Zephyr Coalition. "Why have they come to our galaxy?" "Unknown," Thane replied grimly. "But history tells us that wherever humans appear, death follows. We cannot allow them to establish a foothold in our space." Council Speaker Aram called for order as debates erupted throughout the hall. Some species wanted to attempt diplomatic contact. Others demanded immediate military action. The room divided into 2 clear factions. "I propose we send a diplomatic mission," Dr. Kale said loudly, trying to be heard over the arguing voices. "Perhaps these humans are different from their ancestors. The captain who fought War Leader Thane could have destroyed his ship, but chose not to. That suggests they may be reasonable." Several delegates shouted their disagreement. General Vex of the Hegemony Alliance stood up, his multiple arms gesturing wildly. "Dr. Kale speaks like someone who has never faced combat. Humans spare their enemies only to make them suffer later. It is their way." War Leader Thane nodded in agreement. "My grandfather fought the ancient humans. He told me they would sometimes let captured enemies go, only to hunt them down later for sport. We cannot trust them. The debate continued for hours. Finally, Council Speaker Aram called for a vote. The question was simple: attempt diplomatic contact or prepare for war. The vote was close, but the war faction won by a narrow margin. 41 species voted for military action, while 36 supported diplomacy. The decision was made. The Andromeda Council would assemble the largest fleet in galactic history to eliminate the human threat before it could spread, but not everyone agreed with the decision. Dr. Kale watched in horror as his colleagues voted to destroy beings they had never even tried to understand. As the session ended and delegates began to leave, he made a dangerous choice. Meanwhile, Admiral Stone paced the bridge of the Titan, studying the reports from Captain Reed. The battle with the Krellian ship had changed everything. Their presence in the galaxy was now known, and according to Reed's intelligence network, the aliens were mobilizing for war. "Sir," reported Commander Blake, "long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements throughout the galaxy. Every major species appears to be sending ships toward our position." Stone examined the tactical displays. Thousands of alien vessels were converging on their location. The combined fleet would outnumber them by more than 20 to 1. "How long before they arrive?" Stone asked. "At current speed, approximately 6 days," Blake replied. "Admiral, we need to consider our options. We could retreat to deep space and try to avoid contact." "And go where?" Stone asked. "We do not have enough fuel to return to Earth, and there are no other galaxies within range. This is our new home whether the aliens like it or not." "Lieutenant." Davis looked up from his sensor station. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission on an emergency frequency. The signal is weak and appears to be coming from inside alien space." "Put it through," Stone ordered. The main screen flickered, showing the worried face of Dr. Kale. The alien scientist was clearly taking a great risk by making contact. "My name is Dr. Kale of the Velton species," the alien began, looking around nervously. "I am transmitting from a secure location, but I do not have much time. You are in great danger." Stone stepped closer to the screen. "We are Admiral Stone of the Earth Colonial Fleet. What kind of danger?" "The Andromeda Council has voted to destroy your forces. A massive fleet is being assembled, over 50,000 ships from dozens of species. They believe you are the same humans who fought here centuries ago." "We are not warriors," Stone replied. "We are colonists seeking new homes. We have no desire for conflict with your people." Kale's expression showed surprise. "You are different from the historical accounts. But it may not matter. The Council fears you, and fear makes people do terrible things. The fleet will attack as soon as they locate your main force." "When will they arrive?" 6 days, maybe 7. "But Admiral, there is something else you should know. The Council believes they are facing a small human colony. They have no idea of the size of your fleet." Stone realized the implications immediately. The aliens were expecting to find a few dozen ships, not 50,000. When they discovered the true size of Earth's colonial expedition, their reaction would be unpredictable. "Dr. Kale, why are you warning us?" Stone asked. The alien scientist was quiet for a moment. "Because I believe in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. War destroys both. Perhaps if your people and mine can communicate, we can avoid the bloodshed that seems inevitable. What do you suggest?" "I have studied your historical records. The ancient humans who came here before were different from you. They were explorers and scientists who became stranded in our galaxy. When local forces attacked them, they fought back with desperation, but they never wanted war." Stone felt pieces of a puzzle clicking into place. The earlier human presence in Andromeda had not been an invasion. It had been another colonial expedition that went wrong. "Dr. Kale, we appreciate your warning. But if your people are determined to attack us, we will defend ourselves. I understand, but Admiral, please remember that not all of us want war. Some of us still believe that different species can coexist peacefully. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge crew in silence. Stone turned to Commander Blake. What is your assessment? We are facing the largest military force in galactic history, and they are coming here to destroy us. But we have one advantage. They do not know what they are really up against. Stone nodded grimly. Signal all ships. Prepare for battle stations. And send a message to the civilian transports. They are to stay behind our defensive line no matter what happens. Sir, Lieutenant Davis called out. What if we tried to negotiate? Dr. Kale seems reasonable. The time for negotiation has passed, Stone replied. The aliens have made their choice. Now we must make ours. As the human fleet prepared for the coming battle, thousands of alien ships moved through space toward what they believed would be an easy victory. None of them realized that they were about to face the largest human military force ever assembled, commanded by people who had traveled 300 years to find a new home and would not give it up without a fight. The combined fleet of the Andromeda Council was the largest military force in galactic history. 53,000 ships from 41 different species moved through space in perfect formation. War leader Thane commanded the assault force from his new flagship, the Destroyer, while Admiral Kor of the Hegemony controlled the support vessels. Target coordinates confirmed, reported the fleet's navigation officer. We will arrive at the human position in 2 hours. Thane studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. According to their intelligence, they were approaching a small human colony with perhaps 100 ships. The aliens expected an easy victory that would rid the galaxy of the human threat forever. Signal all ships, Thane commanded. Prepare for immediate attack upon arrival. No warnings, no negotiations. We destroy everything we find. Admiral Kor nodded in agreement. The Council's orders are clear. Total elimination of human forces in our galaxy. Unknown to the alien fleet, human sensors had been tracking their approach for days. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of the Titan, watching the massive alien armada move toward their position. Beside him, Commander Blake coordinated the deployment of Earth's colonial fleet. Final ship count, Commander? Stone asked. 49,800 vessels now in battle formation, sir, Blake reported. All civilian transports have been moved to the rear defensive line. Combat ships are powered and ready. Stone nodded grimly. When the aliens arrived, they would find not a small colony, but the largest human military force ever assembled. The Earth colonial fleet had been designed to establish and defend humanity's new home, no matter what they encountered. Open fleet wide. Communications, Stone ordered. Thousands of ship captains appeared on screens throughout the bridge. Men and women who had traveled 3 centuries to reach this moment. Veterans of Earth's wars, Mars colonists, asteroid miners, and scientists who had volunteered for humanity's greatest adventure. Today we face an enemy that believes we are weak, Stone announced. They remember stories of humans from centuries past and think they know what we are capable of. They are wrong. We are not the desperate explorers who came before us. We are Earth's finest, and this galaxy is our new home. We will not be driven away. Captain Reed, now commanding a battle group of destroyers, spoke from his ship's bridge. Admiral, what are your orders if they attempt to negotiate? Stone's expression was hard. The aliens voted for war, Captain. They have assembled the largest fleet in their history to destroy us. They will have their battle. The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace, expecting to find a small human settlement. Instead, they encountered something that defied their worst nightmares. Stretched across space in perfect battle formation was Earth's entire colonial fleet, 49,800 ships of war. Impossible, whispered Admiral Core as the sensor readings poured in. The intelligence was wrong. This is not a colony. This is an invasion force. Thane stared at the displays in shock. Each human ship was larger and more heavily armed than anything in the alien fleet. Worse, their formation showed a level of military discipline that the combined alien forces could not match. Signal the fleet, Thane ordered, his voice shaky for the first time in his career. All ships maintain position. Do not engage until ordered. On the bridge of the Titan, Admiral Stone activated the communication system. His voice was broadcast on all frequencies, reaching every ship in both fleets. I am Admiral Stone of the United Earth Colonial Fleet. You came here seeking to destroy myths and legends. Instead, you found reality. We are humanity, and we will not be driven from our new home. The alien fleet hesitated. What they had expected to be a quick victory was now looking like the largest space battle in galactic history. Some captains wanted to retreat and report back to their governments. Others, led by war leader Thane, were determined to complete their mission. All ships, attack formation. Thane finally commanded. We have come too far to turn back now. The battle began when the first alien ships opened fire. Thousands of energy beams lanced through space, striking the human defensive line. But the colonial fleet was ready. Human shields absorbed the initial assault while their weapon systems powered up. Admiral Stone waited until the perfect moment before giving his order. All ships, return fire. The response was devastating. Human plasma cannons and particle beams cut through alien shields like they were made of paper. Where alien weapons were designed for show of force and intimidation, human weapons were built for one purpose: destruction. The first exchange lasted only minutes, but when the energy discharges faded, over 3,000 alien ships had been destroyed or disabled. The human fleet had lost fewer than 200 vessels. Impossible, Admiral Core gasped as he watched his tactical display. How can their weapons be so effective? Thane knew the answer. Human ships were not built for comfort or efficiency like alien vessels. Every system was designed for warfare. Where alien crews might abandon ship when damaged, human crews fought until their vessels were completely destroyed. The battle became a nightmare for the alien forces. Human ships that lost engines continued fighting with their remaining weapons. Damaged human vessels rammed alien ships rather than surrender. When human captains realized their ships were doomed, they activated self-destruct systems to take out multiple enemy targets. Captain Reed led his destroyer group in a desperate assault on the alien command ships. His vessel, the New Defiance, carved a path through enemy lines with precision that amazed even veteran human officers. Target the flagship, Reed ordered. Take out their command structure. The New Defiance and her escorts concentrated their fire on war leader Thane's vessel. The alien ship's shields failed under the sustained assault, and explosions rocked the bridge. Sir, we are losing power, reported Thane's second-in-command. Recommend we withdraw to a safe distance, but Thane refused to retreat. Signal all remaining ships, final assault on the human center. If we are to die, we die with honor. What followed was the most savage space battle in galactic history. Alien ships threw themselves at the human lines in waves, accepting massive casualties to inflict damage on the colonial fleet. Human vessels fought with a coordination that seemed impossible to their enemies. The tide turned when Captain Reed's attack group reached the alien flagship. The New Defiance, her hull cracked and atmosphere bleeding into space, made a final run at Thane's ship. All crew to escape pods, Reed ordered. Prepare for ramming speed. Reed stayed at his captain's chair as his ship smashed into the alien flagship. The resulting explosion destroyed both vessels and created a shockwave that damaged dozens of nearby ships. With their leadership gone and their fleet shattered, The remaining alien forces began to retreat. Of the 53,000 ships that had entered the battle, fewer than 20,000 escaped. The human fleet, though bloodied, remained intact. Admiral Stone surveyed the aftermath. From the bridge of the Titan, space was filled with debris from thousands of destroyed ships. The victory was complete, but the cost had been high. "Signal the Andromeda Council," Stone ordered. "Tell them that humanity claims the Outer Rim systems as our territory. Any further aggression will be met with the full force of Earth's military might." The message was received throughout the galaxy within hours. The mythical humans were real. They were here to stay. And they had just proven that they were the most dangerous military force in known space. In the weeks that followed, the surviving alien governments agreed to formal negotiations. The Outer Rim systems were declared human territory, and a tense peace was established. But everyone knew that this was just the beginning. Somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, other human fleets were traveling toward distant stars, carrying millions of colonists and weapons that could reshape entire worlds. The age of human expansion had begun, and nothing would ever be the same.